Pakistan's light at the end of the tunnel is a train. But looking forward, the most stable club right now is Arsenal, and they should repeat. Right? Now, being defending champions is very different than chasing your first championship, right? Because now every single team is going to give their best performance against you.
Welcome everyone to yet another episode of the Dugout on DawnNews English. The English Premier League is upon us. It is Thursday, the 20th of August, 2026. Live action at the Premier League begins tomorrow with the champions Arsenal hosting the newly promoted side Coventry City. I have Mustafa Siddiqi alongside you. Mustafa, Arsenal, of course, champions. Defending champions Mikel Arteta going all the way. Looking at the signings they made in the offseason, they picked up a world-class central midfielder from Newcastle in Bruno Guimaraes for £90 million. They've added Christos Tzoulis, of course, the Greek winger as well. He was very good in the Community Shield game as well, as Arsenal completely swept aside Manchester City 3-0. So Arsenal looking good so far. Can they go back-to-back? Can this be a dynasty in the making in North London?
So right now, the thing is, aside from every other Premier League side, right? Okay, so let's look at the top six, right? The top six, United basically have a new manager. Carrick just became permanent. De Zerbi became permanent like in the middle of the year last year. Xabi Alonso is coming in. There's an Enzo Maresca is in for City, and he did not particularly perform that well in his debut in the Community Shield last year. Sorry, not last year, last week. And then you also
It wasn't
have,
great for Chelsea. He got sacked.
yeah, exact. He didn't get sacked. He basically he chose to resign because the
Before
job.
they fired him.
But yeah, not there in. But then you for Liverpool you have Areola taking over. So I've talked about this multiple times. We don't know how exactly with Areola's thing is that they were already very unstable. Liverpool, I don't particularly like what they've who they've brought in, or if they've really changed that much from last season. They've gotten rid of Salah is going away, right? But you still have Van Dijk, and Van Dijk was very poor last season, right? So that's something to watch. You also don't know how Areola is going to go from a let's as I say small club to basically one of the top 10 biggest clubs in the world in Liverpool, right? And then you and that so that's one. Then you have Xabi Alonso at Chelsea, who are the entire squad construction is it is built to sell. It
Makes
is
no
built
sense whatsoever.
it's built to sell, it's built to make money. It is not built to actually win the Premier League, right? That's the first issue. Then the other issue, so that's one. And they have a lack of experience. They brought in Jordan Henderson for that reason. They brought in, what's his name?
Danny Welbeck.
Daniel Welbeck for that reason, right? But at the same time, how will they perform? That's another thing to watch. Tottenham, out of all the other teams, right, aside from United, have made the most changes, right? And they look dangerous. Now they think, aside from, they've completely rebuilt the midfield by bringing in Tonali and Matthias Fernandes. Like, okay, have they overpaid for those two players? Absolutely.
Grossly overpaid on every player.
Grossly overpaid. But the thing is, they were almost relegated 2 years in a row. Something drastic had to happen, right? So, and they're now thinking of going for a double sweep for Omar Marmoush and for what's his name?
Savinho.
Savinho, right? Which is a problem because City now want Enzo Fernandez because Rodri is left to Barcelona. So like there's this entire there's
It's
completely
like a stack of dominoes.
yeah. And Rodri was the starting block essentially, right? And that just cascaded everywhere. But going back to it, right? So like everyone has like new midfields, like and then coming to United, who I've been watching them very closely because they are my team. But at the same time, right? So we have only made two signings so far this year in Yuri Tillemans and what's his
And
name?
Andre Santos.
And Andrew Santos. Both of them looked Yuri Tillemans is a class player, has performed in the Premier League for
Belgian
almost
captain.
Belgian captain is going to be excellent in the squad. Who are lacking of leaders after Casemiro has left, right? And Andros Santos, we will see how he performs. He has had a very good preseason. He is fitted into that DM role very well. And now we are right now, since we are recording on Thursday at 6 p.m. We are in for Carlos Baleba. We do not know if we do not know yet.
60 million pounds rumored for a Cameroonian central midfielder from Brighton. A bit of an overpay there as well.
No, considering this man was going for 100 million last year.
Okay, Diomando went for 140 million. I mean, these
Yeah.
are all inflated prices, you have
These
to
are all
say.
inflated prices, but at the same time, in the market we are in right now, he's only 22, right? And he was arguably a top three midfielder in the Prem just a year ago, and then the transfer rumors started, and then he had like a semi-poor season, and then but like he's exactly what United need because he's a very dynamic midfielder, he's a very athletic midfielder, but he can also pass, he can also carry the ball. That is something we need. We need athleticism in the midfield, which is something we're lacking, right? Another thing we're very lacking is that the main issue right now, right, is that we're basically playing the exact same back four of Shaw, Dallo, Lautaro Martinez, and Maguire that we had
Lisandro Martinez.
Sandro Martinez since 2022.
Yeah,
Is
Lenny
when
Euro has proved to be a bust, I have to
Lenny Euro,
admit.
I don't think he's a bust. I just think
How much has he
he's
played?
semi injury prone, right? He's semi injury prone, but like the one person we're looking forward to is Aiden Heaven is going to be, I think.
And funnily enough, Ezri Konsa is being picked up by Arsenal. You guys really needed that kind of player, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I think the price stopped us from going for him. So it's something to watch. We Rashford has been fully integrated back into the side, so that's a very big plus for us because our attack is now like I'm fine with our attack, right? What I think we
Backup striker.
backup striker, I think if we can go for Mateta, that would be very excellent, right? But looking forward, the most stable club right now is Arsenal, and they should repeat, right? Now, being defending champions is very different than chasing your first championship, right? Because now every single team is going to give their best performance against you
Absolutely.
because
You have a target on your back.
you have a target on your back. And I watch this, right? Because because so like every single goalkeeper, it's a joke, right? Where every single goalkeeper has their best performance against Manchester United, right? Just as like every single goalkeeper has their best performance against Real Madrid, Barcelona, all of these guys, because these are historically great clubs, right? And Arsenal is a historically great club as well, but they hadn't had.
Let's not go that far.
Okay, let's say in the English in the Premier League there are historically
Not
great.
even in the Premier League, let's be honest. But
Okay, chal,
for
haan,
the
chal,
sake
chal.
of discussion,
For the sake of discussion, in the simple sense is they are going to get everyone's best shot. They have the defense and midfield to take care of it, right? The only issue that we have had all season long last year as well, where we were scared that they might bottle it again because they have a history of bottling the thing, and they almost did bottle it last season as well, right? Where they also bottled the UCL final after being unbeaten during their entire
come on,
UCL.
man. They were taking on
UCL.
the defending European champions. Come on.
What are you going to do when you're playing 25% possession? I'm sorry. What are you going to do? That's what you're doing in a UCL final without having a red card.
Well, you make the point about them having the bases covered in the Premier League, Mustafa, but with these signings, have they taken that next step to conquer Europe?
They should. I still think they're lacking attack, and that is my main issue with them last season as well. But let's see how the other
But now they'll
European.
have Havertz fully fit, with Gyökeres, and
We'll
let's
see.
see. Well, Mustafa, let's take a look at the continental side of the transfer market, especially in La Liga, where Barcelona have gone absolutely insane. We talked about Real Madrid's off-market maneuvers, off-season maneuvers, pardon me, in detail in our previous episode. But Barcelona have gone in big time with Anthony Gordon. They picked up Karim Adeyemi. They've got Joao Cancelo back on a free. So on a free, there's nothing wrong with a quality player like Cancelo. And Rodri, the biggest domino to fall, as we said, has decided to part ways with Manchester City. There were rumors that, of course, Real Madrid wanted him very, very badly. That would have completed their team, but instead he's going to Barcelona, and that has been a phenomenal summer transfer window to say the least.
Yeah. I the Rodri's the we were talking about this in our in the Premier League, right? It was the big domino. It was like Oppenheimer creating the bomb, but it was either the US was going to get it first or the Russia was going to get it first in Real Madrid and Barcelona. Because he has at the age of, like, I believe he's 30 now, right? By the age of 30, he has completed football. He has won the Ballon d'Or. He has won leagues. He has won the World Cup. He has won the UCL final. He has been the best player in the world for multiple years, right? And now we have to look at this, that he is going into a system that perfectly suits him, and with players that he just won a World Cup with. 9 out of the 11 players that were that one like I think 8 or 9 of the players that were in the Spanish first 11 were are Barcelona players. Yeah, and this is what you're doing, and it's going to fit like a glove. And this is a real fear for I think Real Madrid, because like Barca's might three-peat. They've already won the last 2 titles. They probably have the best player in the world in Yamin Yamal, right? They have arguably the best midfielder in the world in Rodri. Or if he's not the best player in the best midfielder in the world, he is the single engine of
Well, he
all.
has Pedri and Frankie de Jong alongside him. That
Exactly.
will do very nicely.
Yeah, he's a winning engine, and you have 2 other engines in Frankie De Jong and Pedri. Pedri, we still have to look how he was, because he was very poor in during the World Cup, right? So we will see how he will do it in Barcelona. Now, the more interesting conversation is, right? Real Madrid, I still think, needs some depth in midfield, right? Where they have a lot of players, because now we have a situation where they've brought in Diomande, they've given Vinicius a new contract, they've kept Rodrigo, Endrick is still bouncing around there, right? And like they brought in Dumfries, they brought in all these guys, right? They brought in Bernardo Silva and all that.
Bernardo Silva as well.
Bernardo Silva, right? So they brought in experience. I still think, and then you have obviously Kylian Mbappe, who was bloody phenomenal during the World Cup. He seemed like the best player in the world, and like he was absolutely awesome, right? Now, but the problem is you have now bought another player in Diomande, who loves to drift into the spaces that your best player loves playing in, right? Which is left wing. Because like, yes, Kylian Mbappe plays striker, but like he's very much like a Terry Henry type, where he will not exactly hold up the ball, but he will come charging in from the left side, right? He can play centrally, but he prefers charging up from the left side. So that's the issue. The only, but also the biggest issue is you have Valverde, Toshimai, so many camps, and then
Yeah, they haven't still gotten rid of Camavinga, Chouameni, even though there were some rumors,
yeah.
especially with United.
Yeah, and then and you gave them new contracts. You gave Chouameni a new contract, right? So that's one issue, right? Now the other issue is, out of all of this toxic locker room that has happened, you put Jose in there.
Well, he's
Like,
the ultimate psychologist. He's the ultimate man manager, you know.
he is he is at worst, in my opinion, a top 5 manager of all time. At worst, right? If you wanna bring in other people, right? Like if you want to bring in Dagley, like the Liverpool manager of the 80s, Sir Alex, Pep Guardiola, Carlo. If you want to put Carlo in there, yada yada yada, right? So you're left with that situation, right? So we will see how he will do. He has not been at this big of a club in a while, right?
Yeah.
He's not been at
Benfica, Roma, but not Madrid,
no,
of
no, he
course.
hasn't been at this where the expectations have been this high since United, right? And yes, United were a poor side when he took over, but it's still United. There was still a lot of expectations, especially when you're Jose Mourinho, right? And over there, there was a whole crumble, then there was a whole thing with Tiff with Pogba, and then like
His fallout with Pogba was very highly publicized. So you're right, it went wrong at United for sure.
Yeah. So it's something to watch really closely, what is going to happen, right? We have to see what is happening with him. I truly believe it can either go very good or very bad, right? It can be in a situation where he has the players enough where he can be might be able to recreate that 2011 2012 Real Madrid side, which I still argue out of even with the three-peat years is the best Real Madrid was looked under was the best the Ronaldo Madrid side of all that they had, right? Which is like that 100-point season uh, where like Ronaldo hit 60 goals. They were the best counter-attacking side in all of Europe. Not in all of Europe. It might have been the best counter-attacking side of all time because that's how deadly they were. Because you had Di Maria, and now you have all these pacey players. You have these skillful players. It is all about now just finding the right holes to pick and choose where to use them and make sure that someone does it. We've already had an injury about someone almost having amnesia. We don't want someone to kill them. We don't want players killing each other. So let's see what happens.
So are you expecting Barca to repeat, or can Jose Mourinho and Real knock them over?
We will find out in the first month. I feel.
ये क्या बात हुई?
I think
Anybody can say this.
I just think that Barca is so overwhelming with Rodri now that I just don't see how because I
They are
think
looking very OP.
yeah, like I think they're going to be someone we have to watch.
And they basically built a side to conquer Europe, not Spain, basically.
Yes, and especially because Rodri is that signing, right? Rodri is a signing to conquer Europe only.
Well, very fascinating race as always is going to be in Spain. Right then, my league of speciality, that is the Italian Serie A, Mustafa Siddiqui. I hope you've been keeping a close eye because Inter have gone completely British. They've signed not one, not two, three English players in John Stones,
Mm.
Curtis Jones from Liverpool,
Mm.
and they've also picked up Jed Spence
Yeah.
from Spurs as well. We saw he really did well in the World Cup. He had a very eye-catching performance against Argentina, even though they lost. So
Mm.
Inter signings have been very, very interesting to say the least. And remember, they are the defending champions.
Yes, it's something to watch, especially because they're coming off they're coming off a title win, right? I don't believe they've defended a title in like 20 or 30 years or something like that, right? If I'm not wrong, you're the
Yeah, there
Serie
hasn't
A.
been a repeat Serie A winner for a long time since we did it, basically.
Yeah, but like I don't think, but like even Inter haven't been dominant in Serie A since probably the Mourinho years, where they were like consistently the winners, right? In his like 3 year period. It's something to watch. Another thing to watch is like how Juventus will try to catch up, and if they are doing anything to actually do it. This is your realm. I will let you talk about your great team and where they have.
Juve, well, Juve, we picked up Vicario on loan from Spurs because we had a bit of a goalkeeping crisis. It's odd how we had the best goalkeeper in the world for 20 years, and of course, Chesney followed him up. So he was world class for 3, 4 seasons as well. So that period as well and truly gone. Now we're trying Vicario on loan. We were looking for Suzuki. He was going to PSG, but in the end ended up at Villa because Emi Martinez apparently fractured his hand. Then Douglas Luiz is back. Apparently, Luciano Spalletti is going to give him another go. So that will be interesting to see. We picked up Randall Kolo Muani, as you would be familiar with, was at Spurs. Of course, he's been on the out from PSG right from day one. He was loaned to us, then he went back to Paris, then he went to Spurs, then he went back to Paris, and now we have signed him on a full length transfer. He did have a good period in Juve. He scored about 12 goals in 6 months when he was on loan. So we're fans of him, even though he's been a bit inconsistent. Who else have we picked up? We have picked up Ali Begovic, as we saw the Bosnian teenager. He seems to have a bit of spice, a bit of juice about him. So he's interesting. We've picked up Lukumi, the Colombian defender, center back at Bologna. He's been pretty solid in Serie A for the last 2, 3 years, and he was pretty good in the World Cup as well. So, and we've picked up Zeki Çelik, the Turkish fullback as well, on a free from Roma. So just strengthen various areas of the field. Time will tell if Luciano Spalletti can turn Juve's fortunes around. Of course, Juve are not in the Champions League. That was the biggest shock of last season. So they'll be in the Europa League. And they say historically Europa League is much more physical, much more tougher. So let's see if Juve can endure the challenge of playing in that league. And of course, I want to talk about a topic for you. Ruben Amorim has taken over at Milan. and they gave him Gonzalo Ramos, the striker, the backup striker at PSG. Of course, he scored in that preseason game
Yeah.
against United. So Ruben Amorim at Milan, this feels like a fascinating combination, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's very annoying that he was having a horrible preseason. He hadn't won a single preseason game. He was no, he actually not didn't even win. He had lost every single preseason game until he came under Carrick, right? I think our United players and Carrick really let themselves down. That's on one side, right? Now, but like the one thing to watch is that see what happens with Ruben Amorim, because I've always his problem is that he wants to play this high intensity ball, right? Which I don't know how well that will translate into Serie A, right? Because you guys are very much more of a methodical league, right? Where you are, it's what people might call boring at times, right? When in reality is a much more about figuring out where everyone is going, right? And I want to actually figure what I really want to see with Amarin is how he will perform with a lot of losses, right? Because I think aside from him being a horrible manager for United, right? I think his legitimate, like his worst quality was that he loved to blame players and never take onus on himself, right? Where and even the way he would take onus on himself, he would say, "Oh, so I'm suffering as well," oh, and all that, right? I just don't like that. But
Very weird energy he would transmit. It was
very,
it was
yeah,
off-putting.
it was very off-putting. I was off-putted after the third or fourth month of his taking over of United. Basically, but like let's see what happens. I'm not going to really. I'm not the type of person who's going to like actively root against someone just because they were a bad manager from my side, right?
And if he
Uh,
thought the pressure was intense at United,
yeah,
he's going to get a rude wake-up call in Italy, man, because
yeah,
they'll
yeah,
come
yeah.
baying for his blood after
No, no,
just a
no.
couple of games.
Oh, bro, like I just know like the Italian ultras because like these guys will shut down stadiums and you will have to like talk to their head fan just like going like why is the team not going well? They will literally shut like you. There's so many stories of like them shutting down stadiums just so because the team isn't going well and you are forced to have conversations with the ultras.
Yeah, happened all the time, especially in the Rome derbies. You've had instances of Francesco Totti going and pleading with the fans,
Yeah.
don't throw projectiles and this and that. But that is the colorful history of Serie A. Of course, Inter looking to repeat, but Juve have built up
Oh,
significantly. Have they done enough? Time will tell. I'm not sure.
another person I want to touch on, which I think you would probably know more about, is how's Napoli looking? Because Napoli for the last two seasons have
They're
had
trying to sign Gabriel Jesus apparently as
Jesus
backup
or
to Hoyland
Jesus.
or in place of Hoyland. So, of course, Antonio Conte has bid adieu, and they've had Max Allegri, former Juve manager, former Milan manager, and Allegri ball is very similar to Haram ball.
I'm
So that's
sorry.
going to be funny.
This is my one problem with the Serie A. This is like my one issue with them. Do like all these top clubs only know like six managers? It's just like a carousel with them,
That's the
man.
biggest issue with Italy is that they never want to look outside their own bubble.
Yeah.
They still feel they have the tactical superiority over the world. They do produce world-class managers, but not at the clip they used to.
Yeah.
But they refuse to look outside. It's always internal rather than external.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because like they were trying to get Pep to come in for to the look after the Italian FA and do the
But then they
national
sacked the
side.
entire board.
They sacked the entire board. They got. How do you sack Paolo Maldini? How do you? That man
I
lives
mean,
and
he
breathes
resigned,
Italian.
but
He
once they
is
didn't listen
Italian
to him,
football. He is a living embodiment of Italian football. How do you
once they
sack him?
didn't, once they didn't accept his recommendation, then it was no point for him to hang around. So he left. It is what it is. So that's it for our European roundup and preview of the Premier League. Right then, Mustafa, of course, the first test at Leeds, Pakistan were invited to bat first. And of course, first ball wicket for Ollie Robinson, picked up 5 wickets. Josh Tongue picked up 5 wickets, though Pakistan recovered relatively well after losing 2 wickets. They were 100 for 2 when Imam ul Haq fished outside off and 171 all out as Josh Tongue mopped up the lower middle order. It was a difficult wicket to bat on. It is seaming consistently, and unfortunately, it is raining with Joe Root and Jordan Cox in the middle of a partnership with England 100 odd for 2, just about 50-60 runs behind. So what we expected to go wrong for Pakistan has gone wrong, especially the batting without Babar Azam, who's not playing, Salman Ali Agha leading the side. But do you blame the wicket? Or do you perhaps say some umpiring decisions went against us, or it was the class of the English bowlers?
Josh Tongue is a fantastic bowler. Like Josh Tongue is a truly fantastic bowler. I think he was properly
The
doing
thing
it.
is, no, he's not consistent, but he's streaky. He'll bowl wicket-taking balls.
He'll bowl wicket-taking balls, which is always dangerous because this is because if people won't remember this because some people on Twitter and on YouTube are have were born after Anderson started his career, right? But this was what Anderson was in the beginning of his career. Anderson was streaky. He was a bit faster than he was, but he wasn't as consistent. He wasn't line or length Anderson that he was. He was a very streaky bowler who used to come in, get the odd two balls to swing a lot that would used to take a lot of wickets, right? He only really became that like basically master of consistency and swing and length after like the 2010 season, right? That is when he actually did it. So like I can see because Josh Tongue is young, like he's like 24 if I'm not wrong, right? Like 25, 24, 25, 26, something like that.
He's a brilliant bowler. I'm a big
He,
fan.
yeah, I'm a very big fan. Ollie Robinson, up and down on him all the time.
He just knows keep sticking on that length, and the Pakistani batters will
Yeah,
flop you.
so we'll see what happens. I think Abdullah Shafiq batted wonderfully. I think he was
Even
fantastic.
Imam played really well until he did what he did.
Well, Imam is Imam. What do you expect? This is what he always does. He'll play well for 30, 40 runs and then he'll nick something outside edge because
So
he
you're
doesn't.
sticking to your 3-0, or is Pakistan?
So I didn't stick to the 3-0, right? So that was Rayan's prediction of saying just it's gonna be 3-0, right? I think we'll probably win the Lord's Test just because I think Baba will be back, so we'll get the morale boost from that. And I also, but like the actual issue is that we talked about last week in our preview, right? Is that like so like right now it is Thursday. It is raining on
And it's
Lake.
absolutely pelting down in Leeds
It's
at the moment.
pelting down in like this is the thing. No rain in London for 3 months. Soon as test cricket starts, rain around the world. Drought. All you had to do to solve the European drought is have some test cricket matches around. There'll be no problem there. The rain gods will come.
Well, fingers crossed for Pakistan, but at this stage, with 100 odd for two, England with a Root and Cox well set at the crease, we're waiting for the rain gods to finally allow some play. But it does seem like odds on that Pakistan will be falling back significantly in their second innings and certainly don't have the batting resources to post something like 350, 400 and set England a target. So it does look like the Headingley test will go in favor of England at this stage. Barring a miracle, Mustafa, I don't see any significant chance of us bouncing back in this test.
Yeah, I like the days of like Pakistan 1 second 1 minute down, 1 minute up, right? That's like I feel that's gone to a certain extent. That like there was a did you so there was a Daniel Rasool article that was released today, right? It stated Pakistan. Pakistan is someone in it. Let me read the exact quote. It is a fantastic quote that says great things about Pakistan as a nation and as the cricketing team, which is
Yeah, sometimes I feel these writers just tend to overcook it a bit.
no. But like
Go ahead.
this is a great quote, even but it's very funny quote. Pakistan's light at the end of the tunnel is a train.
Yeah, yeah, I read the
That
headline. That was a good one.
was a good line.
Yeah, there is absolutely no evidence that things will get better. They can get worse as well, which is the
So
case for
I don't
Pakistan,
think
I
the
think.
actual issue is that we were talking about this last week, right? In our preview, is that our major issue right now is that we're not producing. Every fast bowler we're producing is going to we're not taking care of them. We brought back Khurram. He after the injury, he's not been the same player that he's been before injury. He was performing so well in Australia and all of these places.
He can't stay fit. That's his problem,
Yeah, that's
man.
his problem.
His
And
second
then
spell is always very slow.
yeah, and then you that's the issue, and then you that happened, and then the other issue is very simply that man, your batsman can't bat if there's a hint of swing. And like the only person who was
To
shown
be
that
fair, it is that kind of wicket where you need some luck to stay at the crease. There will be Jaffers bowled at you. They will nip in, catch the inside edge.
this
You need
is
luck for sure.
sir when it is date today when it is Friday night and England are 500 for 5 फिर
I
हम
don't think they'll make 500, but they're
फिर
looking
बात
good.
करते हैं फिर बात करते हैं
Well, that's all for this episode of The Dugout. Thank you so much for joining me, Mustafa, and fingers crossed for Pakistan.